Hello there, this is Subhodeep Sarkar, and this is the fourth video where I am going to teach you about variables, how to take input from the user, how to print to the screen, and all the basic data types, or I can say primitive data types used in Python. So let's get started. I am really excited. So the first topic is, what are primitive data types? So let's break it down. Primitive, that is primary. So why do we call this primary? Because these things are built into Python, okay? We don't have to make it, it is already built inside Python. We can just use it. And then data types. Okay? Data, what is data? Data are bits, okay? Bits, information, we can say. And type, you know, right? Everything has a type, like that. So, in a broader term, what is a data type? So just like you can differentiate between what is a number and what is alphabet, like that only a computer can differentiate between numbers, letters, and all the other stuffs. So let's get started. In Python, Python has two terms, okay, for representing numbers. You may say, okay, 10 is a number, 10.5 is a number, 100 is a number, 1000.5050 is a number. But for Python, they are not just numbers. In Python, there are primarily two terms used. One is integer and another is float. So what is the difference? First, let's understand integer. What is integer? I have told you in an earlier video that integer is anything from minus n to plus n. And what is minus and plus n? Any negative number to any positive number without decimal. Now here's the twist. Whenever decimal comes into place, it's not an integer in Python, it's a float. So in Python, 10 is an integer, 10.5 is a float, 100 is an integer, 1000.50 is a float. So remember this like this. Any number which has a decimal, that is a dot, it is called a float. And if a number does not have any dots or decimals, it is called integer. Be it negative, be it positive, it doesn't matter, be it zero, whatever. If it does not have a decimal, it is integer. If it does, then it's a float. Okay. Now, if I say there are 26 characters or alphabets in English language, A to Z. Okay. So, if I say A for apple, what is this actually? What is A for apple? So I am actually combining letters. I am actually combining alphabets of English language in some way that it forms a bigger sentence. So this sentence or word is a combination of alphabets. Now this thing is called a string in Python. Why string? Because it is a combination of letters. In other languages like C, C++, or Java, if you use only a single character, that is, let's say A is character. It uses character data type. But in C, there is no concept of strings. Okay, you have to make them by your own, and it is really complicated. But in Python, you can directly write A for apple. A for apple without actually creating the string thing. Okay, you can directly write it, and Python can understand. Okay, so this is actually a combination of different letters, like A for apple. So it has A, it has A, it has O, it has R, it has P, it has L, it has E, it has S. So let's mix these things up, and we make a string. My name is John. My name is John. This is a string. Okay. Even a word is a string. like apple is a string, mango is a string, my name is a string. Anything associated with letters is called a string in Python. And finally, for the last example, let's say the sun rises in the east. So you may say true, you may say false. So in Python, true and false are denoted by a term called Boolean. Boolean is nothing but true or false. A thing can be either true or false. Let's say you have a box, and if I tell you, does that box contain a black ball? You may say yes, you may say no. Okay. So if you say yes, it means true. Whatever I said was true. If you say no, that means whatever I said is false. So if I say in a box of fruits, let's say there is a box in which contains a lot of fruit. Now I tell you, okay, there is a mango in it. So you start searching. If you find a mango, you say, yeah, here it is. Here's a mango. So I am true, and whatever I am saying is true. But if you didn't find a mango, you will say no. There's not a mango in the box, and whatever I said is false. Now true and false. This is called Boolean. Boolean data type. Boolean data type. And finally, there is a weird concept called none. If you are coming from any previous programming background, you must have used null. Okay, null. It is the same thing called none. N-O-N-E in Python. Now what is none? None is empty. It's as simple as that. It's empty. Let's say you build a robot and you say, okay, so if this bottle has no water, that is, if this bottle is null or none, then fill it. The robot checks if the bottle has water or not. If it sees there's nothing, it's null or none, then it takes the bottle, it goes to the machine, and it fills the water into it, and it keeps it. So that's how you can check if it is empty or not. Okay, let's say you ask a user, hey user, enter your email, and the user does nothing. He enters nothing, absolutely nothing. This means the user has entered none. That means the user hasn't entered anything. So these are the basic or primitive data types of Python. And again, primitive means these are built into Python. Okay. So now let's check these out into action. So let's launch our command prompt, because I love this. I love Windows command prompt. Let's get started. Okay, so here is the command prompt in administrator mode, I guess. Okay. So let's type in py. This will open the live interpreter. Okay, here is it. Python 3.8.5. Now, okay, before that, let me show you how to print to the screen. Okay, so you have to use functions. Print function. Now, what is a function? I'll teach this concept in a lot greater detail later on in the class, but for now, remember, anything with these brackets are called functions. Okay, these brackets, opening and closing, it is a function. Now if you want to print to the screen, okay, first let me show you the basic data types. Can you see this type help and copyright, credits or license? These are actually covered with double quotes. Okay, these are enclosed into double quotes. It is a string. Strings look like this. Hello. This is a string. Now you can also use single quote, hello. but you cannot use one single quote and one double quote. Hello, this will give you an error. See, it is an error. So you can either use this one or this one, anything you like. So this is a string, this is a number, this is a float. Okay, and this is Boolean, true or false. Now if you write like this, let's say true, okay, this capitalization matters. If you say true, this will give you an error. If you say false, this will also give you an. You can only write like this: true, capital T, RUE, or this false. And there is the final one, none. See, it gives nothing. Did you just see that? None. See, it gives nothing. But true or false gives something. Okay. Okay, so these are the terms, and now let's print out something to the screen. So you have seen this is a string, hello world. This is a string. So what if we want to print this to the screen? Let's say, okay, so this one, print. This function will print things out to the screen. Let's say, hello world, I am learning Python basics. So this is a string because it is enclosed within these two quotes, these two double quotes. Can you see this? So this is a string. Now we want to print this out. Here we go. Now notice when we actually use the print function, there is no single quotes. But if you do not use print function, there is this single quote. Okay, this is how we actually print things to the user, to the screen. Okay? Now you have another important concept called variables. What are variables? Variables are nothing but containers. Containers. Container without any size limits. A container in which you can put anything from as small as a coin to as big as ocean. Things like that. Okay. So this variable is a very important concept. A variable is just a container. Let's say you are you're cooking noodles. So what is the first step? You put the noodles in a bowl, and then you put all the ingredients you will mix into it into another bowl. Now will you just take these things and put into this, then take these things and put into this? You won't do this. You will take another third container where you will put both of these things and will stir it. Okay, this is how you cook noodles. I am bad at cooking, so don't ask me about the specifics. I won't be able to tell you. So you put the noodles in one container, you put the ingredients in another container. So each container is a variable. This is a variable, this is a variable. Now you put both of these things into another container. Now this is also a variable. Okay, and let's see this in action. You will understand better. So what if I say, let's clean this out. Okay, what if I say, okay, now about the naming conventions. Let's teach you naming conventions first. You can name a variable anything, but you have certain restrictions. A variable name cannot start with numbers. Okay, a variable cannot start with numbers, variable name, or anything other than underscore. You can use underscore, but nothing more than that. Okay, you can use both of these things actually, underscore, letters, and numbers. But the rule is you cannot use numbers at the beginning, although you can use underscore at the beginning. And there's another rule that, let's say there is a print function, just I showed you. There's a print function which can actually print out to the screen. Now if I name a variable print, it will give me an error immediately, because we cannot use the inbuilt functions or inbuilt things like let's say we use for. So for is the name of a loop. Okay, I'll teach those later, but just understand this. Anything that the Python uses, you cannot use as a variable name. So let's see this in action. What if I say a variable name is a? Okay, so variable name is first. This is the name of the variable. Equals to, you give equals to assign. That is just like you put noodles in a container. Now this container's name is first, and the noodle is going to be, let's say, 10. And this equal means put into the first container. Okay, so first is 10. Let's say second equals 20. Okay, so the name of the first bowl is first and the next bowl is second. And what are the values inside it? 10 and 20. Now let's say the result equals to, that means in the third variable you actually mix the first and second. So you say first plus second. So that means you have mixed the first and second bowl into the result bowl. Now you can simply print it out. See, 10 plus 20 equals 30. So result is 30. You directly print it to the screen. That's how you use variable. And why do we use variables? To keep things. To keep things. You cannot have things at a moment. Everything at a moment. Okay. Let's say you want to. Okay, you have a countdown app. I'm just saying, for instance, let's say you have a countdown app. It counts from 100 to 0. 100, then 99, then 98 to 0. So are you going to write 100, then again 99 into the code? No. You are going to use a loop, which I'll show you later. And you are just going to, just subtract 1 from it. 100 minus 1, 99. Minus 1, 98. Minus 1, 97. Like that to 0. Until 0. So that's how you use a variable. That's why you use a variable. You cannot directly write 99. You cannot directly write whatever you want. Okay. So let's say you have a list of names. Let's say John, Subhodeep, um, Ria, or Ankita, or these other names. Okay. So you want to display each of this name to the screen. So you will have to use a variable, because you won't be able to write each of them directly. You will have to use a variable where you will put each of the name. This is a list and this is a variable. So you take the first name, you put it, print it. Take the second name, put it, print it. Take the third name, put it, print it. So this is how it goes. You will need variables, and variables are very, very important. Okay. Now we can actually check the type, that is the data type of the variable, using again a function called type. In type, just say first. That is, you want to know what is the data type of first variable. See, just ignore this thing, class thing. Okay, just focus on this int, and int means integer. Int means integer. Now, if I say that, let's say first equals, again I take the same name. You can do it. Okay, in Python you can take the variable's name multiple times, and Python will change it. Let's say hello. So what do you think you will get this time? Because first I have put 10 into first, and then I have put hello into first. What do you think you will get? Yes, you will get the second value, because this is an interpreter. It executes line by line. Remember, I have told you. So if you put noodles in a bowl and then later on you just take out the noodles throw it out, and then put something other thing into it. So this is how an interpreter works. You have used the same bool, but you have put something different into it this time. So that's how interpreter works. So now you will, if I say print first, see, it gives us hello, not 30. Now if I check the data type of first variable, this will give me str. And what does str mean? A short quiz for you. What is this? Yes, if you have guessed it to be a string, then you are absolutely right. This is a string. Yes, this is a string, and this is why Python shows us str for string. Now if I say first equals to 10.9 point whatever 10.90. Now what is the type of first? What do you think it will be? Float. See, I told you float. Now I put true. Type of the first variable bool. Bool means boolean, that is either true or false. If I, let's say if I put false instead of true, false, we will now check what is the data type of the first variable. First, see, again bool. So anything true or false is a boolean thing. Now if you just put first equals none, what do you think it will be? Let's see, let's check it out. It will be a none type. See, none type, that means it has nothing, it has got nothing. So these are the basic data types of Python. So okay, now let's see some other examples with variables. Let's work with variables, and then I'll tell you how to take inputs from the user itself. Okay, because that will be very important. So now let's work with variables. Let's see some examples. Okay, so again we now open the CMD. Should I find it here? Command prompt. Okay, I got this. Okay, so I just type Python 3. You can write whatever you want, Py or Python or Python, whatever, but anyone can be used. Now let's have a variable called let's say demo. Okay, demo. So demo equals, let's say 12. So this is integer. Still check the type. Okay, let's work with this. So the type is demo. It is integer. Now let's work with it. Let's print it out. Demo. So that's how a variable works. But sometimes in Python especially, let's say if you are in Linux or some other distribution, this thing won't work. Okay, this thing won't work. I don't know why it is working. This shouldn't work, because this print function cannot print anything other than a string. So maybe it's automatically converting this into string, but in the real world you have to do this. Okay, you put this thing. Now this str actually converts demo thing. Now I'll show you in greater detail. Let me show you. So demo is 12, okay, and it is an integer, right? So now if we just say demo equals, let's say str demo. So what this actually means is that demo is a variable where I put the previous demo by converting that thing into a string, and this is why I say str, and whatever I put between str, whatever I enclose between the parentheses or the brackets, will be converted into strings, into Python strings. So now if I check the type demo, see, now it is string, but earlier it was integer. Now let's say if I convert this into int, So now let's check again. See, so what, again I did the same thing. Whatever I put this inside the integer parenthesis or the brackets will be converted into integer. So if I put integer 10.01010 whatever this big number, it becomes 10. But if I do the same thing like float 10, see, it automatically puts a decimal after 10, because after the decimal everything is 0, so it just puts the thing inside. Now if I say let's divide 10, eh, these are some of the basic operators. Okay, let's see some basic operators first before we move on further. So 10 divided by 5, this is the sign of division. Okay, this is the sign of division. 2. Now watch this very carefully. This is a float number, because see this one, this is a decimal. Now let's say 10. I hope you guys know this, but and in Python this star thing is called multiplied. 10 multiplied by 5 is 50. So this thing is a multiplication symbol. This asterisk, it is called an asterisk. Okay. Next operator, I hope you guys or everybody will know this 5. 10 plus 5, 15. 10 minus 5, obviously 5. And there's another operator named the modulus operator. I'll show you what it does. So this thing over here says divide 10 by 5 and show the remainder. So 10 divided by 5, 5 2s are 10, that means nothing remains. The remainder is 0, that's why it prints out 0. 10 divided by 5, the remainder is 0, that's why it prints 0 over there. Now let's say in this example 10, 5, it divides properly. Now let's say 10 divided by 3. 3.3333. Okay, it continues. Now let's say if you want only this portion, you do not want a float number, you do not want this big thing, you just want this 3. So you have two options. Either, I guess there is a round function, 10 by 3. See, this round function will give you only this part, and there's another function. This round function actually tells that just give the the integer part. Okay. Now there's another way. You can just type int and say 10 divided by 3. It will give you same answer. Okay, it will give you the same answer, exact same answer. Okay, so that's how it works. I hope this integer thing is clear to you. Now let's see some other operators. Let's say 5. Now we will see comparison operators. That means we'll compare things. Okay. Now let me tell you what are comparisons. Now 5 is greater than 2. These are all Boolean types. So if I say 5 is greater than 2, am I saying the right thing? Yes, logically I am saying the right thing. That's why it will give us true. Now if I say 5 less than 2, am I logically right? Nope, I am not. Numerically 2 is less than 5 and I am saying hey 5 is greater than 2, which is false. This will only give you Boolean values. So let's say this in action. Okay, let's say 5 more than 2. This gives us true. 5 less than 2, this gives us false. That's how it works. Now if I say 5, there is another operator. Okay, 5 equals or greater than 5. See, oops. Greater than equals 5. So what this thing actually means is that 5 greater than or equal to 5. So obviously 5 is not greater than 5, but 5 is equal to 5, and that's why it gives us true, right? Now if I say let's say, okay, there are some other operators, okay, I'll teach them later on if you need it, because those are quite complex, but still I'll show you, okay. Now just like this is a 5 greater than equal to operator, greater than equal to, because this one is greater sign, this one is equal to sign. Just like that, there is another thing called, yes, you guessed it right, less than equal to, but this time also it will give us true, because 5 is not less than 5, but 5 is equal to 5, and that's why true. One of the condition, if it becomes true, it gives us true, and that's where and or comes. Let's join this thing, okay. So 5, let's say you want to print true if both the conditions match. So let me get into a bit of detail. So there are special things in computer science, or electronics itself. So let's say you want two conditions. You say if, let's say you have a coffee machine, and someone goes in front of it and asks for coffee. Now the machine will check, is he asking for a valid name. Let's say if I ask, hey, give me a glass of cappuccino, it will give me. But if I say hey, give me a milkshake, so this is not a valid coffee, right? I mean, this is not a valid coffee name, so this one is false. Another, if the that person who goes and asks, um, like he speaks in a different language, okay. um, let's say he speaks Spanish, and the machine understands English only, so I don't know what he'll say in Spanish. But if he speaks in Spanish, the machine will not be able to detect it. Machine will only detect that it is not English. That is, there are two conditions. First, the person has to give a valid coffee name. Second, the person has to use English name. Okay. So let's say the coffee somehow understood the the name he is saying is valid, but the language he is saying is not valid. The coffee will not be provided. But if you set the condition like this, that okay, if he says a valid name, it doesn't matter whatever language he speaks, just give the coffee. So there are two types by which we can deal with conditions. So let's see this in